Hello, and thank you for tuning in to watch this important parent information video. It's hard to believe that it's been over 4 months since the pitter-patter of school children's feet has walked our hallways. While we are not completely there yet, we are hopeful that all of our hallways will fill up again as we get back to normal from this disruptive global pandemic. Over the next several minutes, you will hear our school reopening guidelines for both in-person and remote learning. Also, several of you submitted questions that we'll either address in this presentation or at the conclusion. While this informational video is for our parents and families of Harnett County Schools, we will be addressing our teachers and staff in a separate communication from your school principal or your department supervisor on items such as employee health, schedules, remote teaching information, and other important details that you will need as we kick off the school year. First, I would like to cover all that Harnett County Schools is doing to stay within CDC and the Department of Health and Human Services guidelines for our students if you choose to have your child attend in person within one of our school buildings. For students returning to campus in August, temperature checks for all students will be in place, along with health screening questions for our older students. If your child returns to school and you would like for them to utilize bus transportation, social distancing will be exercised and capacity will be significantly lower. Because of this, bus stops could be reduced. Your school will give you more information if the bus stops on your child's route changes. Before we show you our sample classrooms, I believe in transparency and discussing the realities we will face as we reopen our schools. It's important to know that when factoring in social distancing and eliminating high-touch items, our classrooms will look different. With that warning, let's take a look at a kindergarten through second grade classroom with a density allowing for a 6-foot radius. Here is a third grade and older classroom with a density allowing for a 6-foot radius. Here we have a mobile classroom or hut with a density allowing for a 6-foot radius. While these are only sample classrooms and will not fit every scenario of every room, age, or grade level, the layout will be similar in most common rooms in our elementary, middle, and high schools. I would be remiss if I did not thank our auxiliary services team for setting up our sample rooms and Lillington Shawtown Elementary School for letting us use their classrooms. In addition to the classroom modifications, you will also find that acrylic shields will be used in our front offices. Students will consume breakfast and lunch in their classrooms as the cafeteria seating area will be closed. There will be no gatherings in our gymnasiums, auditoriums, or multipurpose rooms. Community use of our buildings will remain suspended until further notice. Athletic conditioning, practice, and competitions will only begin once authorized by the North Carolina High School Athletic Association. Students will have availability to use water fountains, either with their own water bottles or with cups provided near the fountain. Also, adequate hand sanitizer stations will be provided in all buses, classrooms, hallways, and common areas. We know that this is not the normal school we remember, but these modifications are needed for us to return our students and staff back to school. Thank you for your patience as we refine our plan up to and beyond the first day of school. This is a fluid situation, and I thank you for your understanding. For families that feel more comfortable with remote or at-home learning, Harnett County Schools is pleased to offer that option too. Remote learning this fall will look a lot different than it did in the spring. Here to explain the details of remote learning and to answer your questions, I welcome our Assistant Superintendent of Curriculum and Instruction, Mrs. Brookie Ferguson.
This year, Harnett County Schools will offer 2 options for our parents and students. Option 1 is on-campus face-to-face learning, and the second option is remote learning. In Option 1, our on-campus face-to-face learning, all students in grades K through 12 will have the opportunity to return to the building for classes. Students will be able to stay in their assigned schools. It would be traditional school as normal in a moderate socially distancing environment with additional safety and health measures in place such as enhanced sanitizing, eating lunch in the classrooms, and reducing activities out of the classroom. Reduced class sizes and or staggered attendance days could occur on the face-to-face learning plan. What I mean by this is our plan is to return K-12 with reduced class sizes. We have worked to set up classrooms that practice social distancing and follow the guidelines. If our numbers that want to use the school building and come on campus for face-to-face learning stay within those guidelines, we will meet 5 days a week, Monday through Friday. And that is our preliminary plan. If the numbers requesting to be on campus face-to-face increase, then we may have to go to a Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday cohort plan. We will keep you updated. So our option 1, on campus face-to-face learning at this time is Monday through Friday for all students following a normal school schedule with reduced class sizes. If the numbers increase, then we will have to go to a Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday schedule. We will use Wednesday to sanitize in between the 2 cohorts of students. Option 1 guidelines would include social distancing in the classroom and on buses 6 feet apart. Students and staff wear face coverings. Daily temperature checks. Limited visitors in the building. There will be additional guidelines in place and we'll continue to share and keep you updated. These are the basic guidelines. We know there are a lot of questions regarding masks and protocols for screening of students and staff. In our parent section last week where we gave you the opportunity to ask questions, many of you were asking who has to wear masks, what if I have a note from a doctor, what's the protocol for screening students, what are you going to do with sick students. This in itself is a topic that needs to be addressed separately, so we are going to address these procedures and protocols at a later date. Today, we're just talking about the 2 options that we're going to offer parents for the return to school. For families that do not choose option 1, the on-campus face-to-face learning, we are offering option 2, which is remote learning. With remote learning, students will remain enrolled at their home school and receive their classes virtually. Earlier, we had used the term virtual academy, so I want to explain the difference between remote learning and virtual academy. Remote learning allows students to remain in their home school and is temporary, while the virtual academy would be a separate school and considered a more permanent choice. At this time, based on numbers, we are offering only remote learning. We will address the need for a virtual academy after the COVID-19 pandemic. We're finding that many of our parents and families are looking for a solution during the pandemic, but possibly not permanently. Students are allowed to leave remote learning and go back to face-to-face with principal approval. Students are also allowed to leave face-to-face and go to remote learning with principal approval. For example, if families are watching the trends and the trends improve, the parents may feel comfortable sending their student back face-to-face, and they have that option. The trends and the numbers may not improve, and a parent does not feel comfortable and would want to go back to remote. So we are adding that flexibility piece with principal approval. With that, we ask that you work with the principal. This will not be one day I'm in remote learning, the next day I'm face-to-face. There has to be a plan and time to get the student assigned to a class. And we also want to add that students can't go back and forth between the 2 from day to day. It has to be a plan and a commitment. As I stated previously, in option 2, students would participate in live, virtual, remote learning from certified Harnett County School staff until COVID-19 concerns are alleviated. Students will be eligible to participate in clubs and or sports at their home school. That was a question we heard a lot. So yes, they will not be punished for choosing option 2, remote learning. Students will be held to the same expectations such as the curriculum, attendance, grading, and testing requirements as on-campus students. That is a big difference from our remote learning early in the spring, the attendance and the grading piece. So if the student participates in remote learning, attendance will be taken and work will be graded. Also with option 2, remote learning, Harnett County Schools will provide devices to students, but parents will be responsible for providing internet access. Students in grades K through 2 will receive an iPad. Students in grades 3-12 will receive a Chromebook. All students in Harnett County will receive a device. Siblings will not have to share. We realize that high-speed internet access is an issue in many parts of our county. We continue to work to address this. We do have some options to help families. We have a limited number of MiFis for distribution at this time. We are also seeking additional MiFis to share. We have hotspots on 4 buses that will be placed in each attendance area. All of our school parking lots now are hotspots. And we're also going to provide a list of free Wi-Fi hotspots located in our communities. Finally, we will offer alternate learning instructional materials for hardship cases. So under option 2, we do have several options to help families. Another difference that you will see under option 2, remote learning, from the spring remote learning experience is that students will follow a daily schedule that closely mirrors their normal school schedule. Each school will share their daily schedule for face-to-face and their daily schedule for remote learning. Learning will include a variety of resources and materials. So when I say that the daily schedule closely mirrors their normal school schedule, that includes virtual and independent. We do have to be cognizant of the amount of time that students are spending on devices. Instruction and assignments with remote learning will be delivered in Google Classroom for grades 3 through 12 and Google Classroom or Seesaw for grades K through 2. Students will participate in live virtual classes and students will submit work electronically. We do have training videos for our parents and our students on our learning management systems that you can access via our district webpage. Some additional information concerning remote learning, option 2, with our elementary schools. Just a reminder again that our instructional structures may vary based on what is age appropriate. Students will engage in literacy and mathematics instruction daily. Specials such as music, art, and PE will be included in the virtual instruction. In our middle schools, students will still have electives and they will still have access to high school credit courses such as Math 1. In our high schools, we are still planning to have access to honors and AP courses. Our CCCC courses will continue to be available. And in our remote learning, we'll continue to offer elective CTE and other specialized courses depending on student enrollment. We can't give you hard answers, yes or no, on now until we see when the students enroll and what classes are being requested for remote learning. As I previously stated with option 2, electives will be offered. We're going to try to offer as many requested electives as possible. This information will depend, again, on participation numbers and what courses are requested. We will keep students and parents updated. Note that some electives, especially in our high schools, may result in classes or teachers from schools other than the assigned. You will still be assigned to your school, but let's say you want an elective and there's 4 people in your school that want it, 4 people at another high school, 4 people at another high school. We may combine those 12 students and have 1 teacher. Enhancements such as art, music, and PE will be offered in K-5, but this may also include teachers from other schools where we may combine classes virtually for electives. If you have questions about that, you can reach out to your guidance counselors and your schools once we start working on schedules. The next 3 slides are examples of remote learning schedules. Again, these are just examples. It'll have to be tweaked a little bit at each school site. The first one is an example of a possible elementary schedule. This is the lower elementary, and just like we said, we have literacy and math every day. The next slide is an example of a possible middle school schedule. And lastly, we have an example of a possible high school schedule. Now we're going to go over some questions that you have had that you've shared with us. Will students with IEPs be able to participate in remote learning? Yes. This may require an IEP meeting to address services and how to best meet your child's needs. Services and support will be provided by your students assigned to school. We also had questions about students with 504s, AIG students, EL students. Yes, we will offer those services through remote learning, just as we do with face-to-face learning. These services may require meetings at your schools. Your principals, teachers will reach out to you, and definitely if you have any questions concerning your child, their IEP or their 504, please reach out to the school. Will attendance be taken for remote learning? Yes. Students must follow attendance requirements for remote learning. Will work be graded during remote learning? Yes. Students must complete and submit assignments electronically for grades. So that's the big difference from remote learning in the spring, is that we will take attendance and work will be graded. Another question, will electives be offered during remote learning? Will dual language programs be offered during remote learning? Yes, electives will be offered. However, we realize that options may be limited based on enrollment, and we will stay in contact with the student and the parent if that happens. Dual language will be offered during remote learning, and schools that have the dual language programs will communicate with students and parents in that class. Will students on campus have PE recess? Yes, we will have to offer PE and recess with guidelines in place. The guidance at this time is for recess and PE to occur outdoors when possible, and to practice social distancing and limit the sharing of any equipment. For example, with our younger students, they will go outside for recess, but they will not be able to be on the large playground equipment. They will have to do other activities. Several of you have also asked, are teachers better trained to successfully teach virtually? My honest answer is yes. We have offered professional development this summer and will continue to offer professional development and support to our teachers. What I ask you to remember is that our teachers had approximately 24 hours to prepare for remote learning in March. They have done a phenomenal job this year, and we know they will be well prepared as we start the new year. This summer, we have had professional development for Google Classroom, Seesaw, Kami, and other technology resources. We will continue instructional support and professional development throughout the year for our teachers. We will also continue our online support for parents and students. This is a new time for all of us. This is the first global pandemic for many of us. And I have to say, I'm very proud of our teachers. Our district's very proud of our teachers and our school leaders and what they were able to put in place with really no notice. Just as you as parents have done a phenomenal job in changing your complete lifestyle and having upheaval in your home and adjusting to it. So I do feel we are better trained, and we know that our teachers will give 100%, and we appreciate your support. Another question, will you continue to follow class size requirements in remote learning? Yes, we will follow class size requirements in our remote learning settings. The next question, what are the expectations of parents or guardians regarding remote learning and student participation? Students of all ages will need support for remote learning. Support will vary from child to child. We ask that you designate an area for your child or your children to work, make sure they are on time for class, and that they are participating in the live instruction. Younger students in K through 2 may need supervision while online. Supervision may be from their parent, guardian, grandparent, sibling, etc. Just like face-to-face on-campus learning, students should expect to spend 5.5 to 6 hours per day working on school activities. This does not mean in front of the screen those hours. It includes homework, studying, any assignments or projects the teacher may give. So this question, again, was not an easy one to answer because we want to stress that students of all ages need support, and it does vary from child to child. The next question that you had for us: can students in remote learning still participate in athletics and clubs at their assigned schools? Yes. Another question: will breakfast and lunch be served to all students? Yes, breakfast and lunch will be served and available to all students. For students participating in face-to-face on-campus learning, lunch, breakfast will be delivered to the classrooms. For students participating in remote learning, there will be schools designated as pickup sites for meals to go. We will share additional information at a later date. So what are our next steps? Parents will need to complete a commitment form for each student to let the schools know if your child will participate in face-to-face on-campus learning or in remote learning. So tonight your options are on-campus face-to-face learning or remote learning. This form will be available on our Facebook page, our district web page, and will be mailed to parents if requested. This information will be on our Facebook page and web page after this session. A call will go out to all parents tonight in our district. If you're unable to complete the form online, follow the directions detailed in the phone call to request a form to be mailed to you. And as always, help us get the word out. Let others know if they missed tonight's session or cannot access the forms online that a phone call is going out tonight. Our schools will continue to follow up with you and communicate information with you. If you have any questions, please contact your child's school first for guidance. If they can't answer, they will direct you to someone at the district office who can help you. Again, your next step. Parents will need to complete a commitment form for each student to let the schools know if your child will participate in on-campus face-to-face learning or in remote learning. We thank you for participating in tonight's session. We hope we've answered many of your questions. We know we may have not answered all of them. We will continue to communicate with you and keep you updated. We appreciate all that you do for our district and for our students. On behalf of the district, we are very excited about the new school year. We look forward to seeing those sweet smiling faces, either face-to-face or via a computer screen. Again, thank you for participating tonight, and again, we will keep you updated. Thank you.
No matter how you choose for your child to return to school this fall, in person or remote, our commitment to quality instruction within a safe environment is paramount to Harnett County Schools. Thank you for watching how both the physical and virtual classroom will work next month. You may still have questions as we continue to navigate the reopening of school. If needed, please contact your school. They will reach back out to you with an answer. We are in this together. Thank you for watching today, and we look forward to receiving your selection of instructional delivery for your child or children this fall. Please stay safe, and we cannot wait to see you soon.